Your clients are questioning everything right now. You're seeing them hesitate longer, demand more proof, trust less, and you're feeling it. Slower conversions, more objections, longer sales cycles. But here's what matters. This isn't about waiting for conditions to improve. It's about adapting your approach. Welcome to the Midlife Business Academy. I'm Lori Lyons, marketing strategist, business coach, and accidental techie. After years of running a successful website design agency, I'm now building the business of my dreams and helping other midlife entrepreneurs do the same. From strategy to marketing to mindset, we covered what really matters when you're growing a business that fits your life. Let's get started. Welcome back to the Midlife Business Academy, where we build businesses on clarity, not hype. I'm Lori Lyons, and today we're addressing something that you may be experiencing right now and have probably heard about. It's called the trust recession. Your sales conversions that used to close in 2 weeks now take 2 months. Your prospects who once said yes are now saying, "Oh, I don't know, let me think about it." Your content gets engagement, but not conversions. And it's tempting to think, I'll just wait this out. But that's exactly the wrong move. You don't wait out a trust recession. You master it. And here's how. So what does a trust recession really look like? A trust recession doesn't announce itself. It shows up in behavioral shifts. Your prospects ask more questions before buying. You see them scrutinize reviews more carefully. You hear them demand proof over promises. They've been burned, not just by bad products, but by a landscape where they can't distinguish what's real from what's manufactured. They can't tell what's genuinely created versus generated. They don't know who's built actual expertise versus who's recycling last month's webinar. They question whether your testimonials are even real, so they hesitate. And your prospects aren't skeptical of you specifically, they're skeptical of everything, which means you'll need to learn to earn trust differently than you did even a couple of years ago. So let's address the technology factor. Generative tools, or AI, didn't create the trust recession, but they've accelerated it. When content was already generic, these tools made it faster, louder, and easier to generate. When people were already faking their expertise, technology made it easier to fake it at scale. Now your audience reads your emails, your posts, and your website copy, and they ask, is there really actual thinking behind this? And if they can't tell, they don't trust it. So here's what you need to understand and realize. The tools aren't the problem. I use them every day. The problem is the lack of transparency and the replacement of judgment for automation. When you're using technology to replace your thinking, your clients and your prospects sense it. When you're using it to extend and organize your expertise, to turn complex ideas into clear frameworks, communicate more precisely, create resources more efficiently, that's different. The key is honesty. I don't hide my use of technology, but I also don't let it speak for me, where judgment, nuance, and experience and expertise matter. Here's a perfect example of what happens when you resist versus when you adapt. A year or so ago, I had a well-respected business owner that I know very well was publicly and privately really dismissing AI. And she was adamant about it. She said, because of what I do, I'll never use it. And today, she's teaching an AI workshop to her clients. And that's not hypocrisy. That's evolution. And that's exactly what your clients need to see from you. They don't need you to be perfect. They don't need you to have it all figured out from day one. But they do need to see that you're willing to learn, adapt, and stay current. When you're transparent about your processes And when you demonstrate your actual thinking instead of hiding behind polish, that's where trust grows. Your audience doesn't need you to be perfect. They just need you to be real. So let's stop using this as an excuse. And here's where I get direct. I'm hearing you use the trust recession as cover. People aren't buying because trust is low. Sales are slow because of the economy. I heard that today. I ran into a friend at Costco and I heard that today. Nobody's investing right now. They are. And there's truth in those statements, yes. But if you're using them as justification to stop showing up, that's where the real problem is. I've built multiple successful businesses during economic recessions. I know what happens when markets tighten, when fear spikes, when spending freezes. And you know what? It's recoverable. And here's what this taught me. Recessions, economic or trust-based, don't stop people from buying. They make people more selective about who they're buying from. So while you're waiting for trust to return, other business owners are building it. They're showing up with consistency. They're being transparent about their processes. They're solving problems publicly, and they're getting clients. A trust recession doesn't mean people aren't buying. It means they're being more careful about who they buy from. The question isn't, how do I wait this out? It's how do I become the obvious choice? So here's what I've learned about AI and trust, because I've watched a lot of business owners get it wrong. When AI tools first became accessible, I saw two types of people. Those that jumped in without learning how to use it properly, and the ones who actually invested in understanding it and learning how to use it. I chose to learn. In January of 2023, I learned about ChatGPT. I was on the marketing cruise, and the gentleman that gave the keynote was talking about all the cool things you could do with ChatGPT. And I was really amazed and thought it was the coolest thing ever. So by April of that year, a few short months later, I was in Orlando at a workshop specifically designed to help me learn more and become more proficient. That workshop gave me the comfort level to know what to do and to harness that power. It gave me a good, solid base to build on and to use ChatGPT in my business. And now I've expanded and I use so many more AI tools. But when I returned from Orlando, I started using it on a daily basis, not as a script generator, as a thinking partner. It became collaborative and ideation oriented. It was a way to bounce ideas around, explore angles, organize my thoughts. We're not just having a conversation where I record what it tells me. We're working together. I'm bringing my expertise and experience, and AI is helping me to structure it, refine it, and communicate more clearly with it. This script alone probably took hours to generate and to do because it was back and forth. What about this? What about this? Make this sound better. Make this flow. I discovered that I had repeated some information and content from from last week's episode. I'm like, oh, go find if I've done this again. That would have taken me a while to go through and do all of that. But today, ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, all of the AI tools, it's a blessing for my ADD brain. It helps me organize the thoughts when they're scattered. It helps me structure ideas that would otherwise stay stuck in my head, just swirling around. And believe me, they're there. It helps me communicate more clearly when my brain wants to go in 15 different directions. It helps me process. It helps me put things into an organized, coherent structure. I started using AI to build my podcast episodes. What used to take me hours, researching topics, finding the right angles, organizing my thoughts, now I can outline in seconds. And again, actual writing, that still takes me hours, but that's where my voice lives. That's where my experience comes through. That's where the value is. But now, using AI as a tool instead of a crutch, I'm spending my time building my business differently. I'm not spending hours on research that AI can do in minutes. I'm spending those hours on thinking that only I can do, the connection only I can make, the insights only I can share, the stories only I can tell. And that's the difference between using AI and letting AI use you. But here's what I see happening with other business owners. They're using AI as a shortcut instead of a tool. And this is really what's feeding a lot of this trust recession. Business owners are feeding it prompts. They're taking what it gives them, maybe tweaking a few words, and they're hitting publish. There's no personality. There's no specific perspective. There's no real experience or stories woven through it. And you know what? The audience can tell. Your audience can tell. Because here's what AI can't do. It can't think like you. It can't draw from your specific experience. It can't replicate your voice, although it's coming pretty darn close. The way you say something in a conversation with a client, it can't replicate that. It can help you organize. It can help you structure. It can help you communicate. But it can't replace your thinking and it can't replace you. In a trust recession, that's exactly what people are scanning for. They're asking, is this real or is it Memorex? Is this from someone who's actually done this, or is this just another person letting AI do the work? When I use AI, I use it to extend and organize my expertise, not replace it. I use it to help brainstorm angles I might not have considered. I used it to organize complex ideas into clear frameworks. I've got so many frameworks now, it's not even funny. I use it to turn my scattered ADHD thoughts into structured content. And it has been so helpful. And it gives you a good sense of purpose when you've got an organized structure. But the thinking, the examples, perspective, the voice, that's all me. Because in a trust recession, your voice isn't just nice to have. It's the only thing that differentiates from everyone else in your space. And if your audience can't tell the difference between you and an AI generated post, they're not going to trust you enough to hire you. And I do, like AI does, do some of my photos, and that's okay. So, what actually does build trust in this world today? So, in a trust recession, what breaks through? Demonstration, not declaration, not promises, not even credentials. Demonstration. You build trust when you walk people through your thinking processes, when you show them how you approach problems, not just solutions you recommend. Explain why certain strategies work in some situation and fail in others. Give people a way to experience how you work before they hire you. But what does that actually look like? It looks like a real business challenge in showing your diagnostic process, not just handing them the answer. Remember how your math teacher used to say, show your work on the board? You want to show your work. Show them the questions you'd ask first. It looks like saying, here's the situation, and here's where most people stumble, but here's what I do differently, and here's exactly why. It looks like sharing a client's success and explaining the specific shift that resulted, not just celebrating the outcome. It looks like being honest enough to say, this won't work for everyone. Here's who it's right for, and here's who should skip it. That's why I've actually added hot seat coaching episodes to my podcast, so you can hear how I work through real problems in real time. It's not polished. It's not scripted. It's just coaching. Because when your prospects hear you through an actual challenge, when they experience your process, not just hear about your results, that builds trust. That's not just learning what you know. They're seeing you at work. And in a trust recession, that's what can make the difference. So here's what most business owners miss. Trust isn't built in one moment or in 1 second. It's built across stages, from discovery to connection, to engagement, to invitation, to experience, to return. When trust feels fragile in your business, it's usually because you're rushing or skipping one of those stages. You're inviting people before they feel understood. You're selling before they feel seen. You're promising outcomes without providing context. The client journey isn't a marketing tactic. It's a trust structure. And when you design it intentionally, when each stage serves its purpose, trust stops being something you chase and becomes something that compounds. If you want depth on the client journey, I covered this back in episodes 309 through 319. And I'm developing a program right now that will teach you how to build your own client journey for your specific business. So, in the meantime, what do you do? So, here's what works in a trust recession. First of all, and gosh, I never can say this name. If I Specificity, I did it. Stop being vague about what you do and who you serve. Get clear, get specific, make it easy for the right people to recognize themselves in your work. Transparency. Stop hiding behind polish. Show the messy middle. Acknowledge when something isn't simple. Let people see your reasoning, not just your results. Context. Stop giving advice like it applies to everyone. Acknowledge the nuance. Most people meet people where they are and speak to what they're ready to hear. Be consistent. Stop changing your message every time you get bored with it. Your audience needs to hear your message multiple times in multiple places before they believe it. And stay current. Here's something I need to address directly. I receive a weekly email newsletter from a mentoring coach who I absolutely adore. I've learned so much from him. And every single week, the first line of his newsletter reads, "This was lovingly curated without the use of AI." And he's proud of that. But here's my question. In today's business environment, what is this costing him? Because using AI isn't bad. Not using AI, or worse, bragging about not using it, signals that you're behind the times. And nobody wants a coach who's not keeping up, especially a business coach. And I will say this, he's not a business coach, not in the strictest sense of the word. He is, but not really. Yeah, he is. Because using AI isn't bad. Not using AI, or worse, bragging about not using it, signals that you're behind the times. And if you're a coach that's in the business world, nobody wants a coach who's not keeping up, especially not a coach around the business world. Your clients need to know that you understand the tools that they're navigating. They need to know you're not stuck in 2019 while they're trying to build a business in 2026. Staying current isn't optional anymore. It's part of your trust and credibility. So get on board. Learn those tools. Use them properly. Stay relevant, because keeping up with what's happening in your industry adds to your authority. And in a trust recession, your authority is everything. That's how you build trust in a trust recession, not by being louder, but by being steadier and by staying current while everyone else is resisting change. So here's your action step from this episode. Identify one place in your business where you're asking for trust too early. Take a look at your client journey. Look at your sales page, your email sequence, how you're showing up on social media. Whatever it is, rewrite it with more context, be more specific, more transparent. Give your people a reason to trust you before you ask them to buy, because awareness is the first step, but action is what creates change. If you're a midlife business owner who's done using trust recession as an excuse, if you're ready to build trust, clarify your message, and create a client journey that actually converts, I want to invite you to a hot seat coaching episode. These are live, they're unscripted coaching sessions where I work through real business challenges with real business owners. There's no templates or generic advice, just coaching. You'll see how I think, you'll see how I work, and you'll walk away with clarity on your next move. Sign up at mycoachlori, LORI.com, and the link is in the show notes. This is for you if you're serious about building something real. This is for you if you're ready to adapt and get stronger. This is for you if you're ready to modify your business to fit your life where you are now. And we coach around that as well. Because the trust recession isn't going away, but you can become the business owner your clients choose to trust. And that's where real growth happens. This is Lori Lyons. And remember, a trust recession is not a reason to stop building. It's a reason to build differently with more clarity, more consistency, and more transparency. That's how you stand out when everyone else is waiting for conditions to change. And remember, it's never too late to build the business of your dreams. I'll see you next time. Thank you for joining me on the Midlife Business Academy. If today's episode made you think, or made you feel seen, share it with a fellow business owner who could use it too. When you're ready for more support, you'll find the link to book your Profitable Path Blueprint call in the show notes. I'll be back next week with more insight and strategy to help you build a business that truly fits your life and one of your dreams. We'll see you next time on the Midlife Business Academy.